Hello everyone and welcome back to Sullivan County 4-H Learn by Doing Beginner Watercolor Series. And today we're going to do something very different than what we've been doing before. And we're going to be working with how to give the effect of fog in a landscape painting. So we're not really going to introduce any new techniques today. We're going to be working mainly with pine trees, and we're going to stay in a very selected kind of foresty color palette with mostly Kelly greens and burnt umber, burnt sienna, some sepia, maybe some cerulean blue, some Prussian blue, and that's pretty much it. But today's technique is to show you how manipulating the water, the level of water and how wet your paper is can really create some interesting effects with watercolor. So that is primarily the technique we're going to be doing today. Some of this video might be sped up for that reason, but it's mainly going to be about how to make the water work with you rather than against you to make this kind of foggy effect. So I'm not actually going to be doing any sketching on this piece, so I'm going to go ahead and start watering down my paper, and that's because since this is fog, it's going to be very loose, so there's no real definitive markers I need for myself because it is going to be foggy. So when you see really thick fog, you see a few sharp shapes, but most of the shapes you see are going to be very muted. So we're going to kind of follow that suit, and I'm going to start with just a very watered down background just to give the illusion of some color and depth and some shape, but it's going to be a very different background than we've painted before. So I'm just mixing up some of those colors that I spoke already about to start off. We're gonna do some very far away trees that are gonna be very foggy too. So it's just gonna be the suggestion of the trees. this is still wet, I'm gonna go in and kind of like suck out a little color. My color went a little further down than I wanted it to. While it's this wet though, it should just blend right back into the piece. Now we're going to dry it a little bit. Now we're going to come on with a slightly, pretty much the same intensity color, just it'll appear like it's a little closer to you because it'll be more sharp now. This is when we're going to come back in with our darkest green, because it's the closest to us, it's going to be the most in view, it's going to be the most sharp with our foggy forest that we created. And we're gonna leave a little bit of this fog visible, but we're just gonna kind of start over here. And we're just gonna add a bunch of trees. there is our fog piece, and like I said, this was mostly just working with different degrees of the paper being dry, with the very background and the first few trees we did being the most wet, and then slowly kind of drying it intermittently with the hair dryer, adding more water where we needed it to get the effect that we want, and then being nice and crisp, and also the darkest color on the very bottom where the trees would be closest to us if we were looking at this from like a hillside. And also just intermingling, not making that last foreground all the same color, intermingling some lights and darks in there to really give some depth and some shape to the woods, to make it look more three-dimensional and like you could walk down certain paths as opposed to just flat silhouetted. So I hope that this has inspired you to kind of play around a little bit with the water on your paper, make it more wet, see what effects it gives you, make it less wet and see what effects it'll give to you, because that is really the whole key with tackling watercolor, is learning how different degrees of dampness will affect the paint and how the paint will behave on it. And you can really have some fun with it and make really awesome effects with it. So I hope this has inspired you to kind of investigate that a little bit more and maybe just do some tester pieces and have fun with it, just to really get the hang of your technique. So, as always, for more information about Sullivan County 4-H, please visit the link below. For more project ideas, be sure to visit Cornell Cooperative Extension Sullivan County Facebook page, Instagram, and YouTube. And, as always, have fun painting.